This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you all for joining me on Monday for another edition of our virtual networking meeting. Today, we have a fantastic guest speaker lined up with us, David Doerrier. And we also have a nice mix. Yeah, thank you, Patrick. And we also have a nice combination of people that have been to these meetings before and new faces. So, for the people that are doing this for the first time, we're basically going to have about three sections to the meeting. The first section is I'm going to unmute people one by one in the order that I have them on my list so that you can take a minute or two. Oh, and I see we have Rhoda joining us. Rhoda, how are you?
Good, good.
So I'm going to mute people one by one to avoid background noise. Please take a minute or two to introduce yourself, say what your product or service is, who an ideal client would be, or an ideal customer, maybe what part of the country you're in, or even what part of the world. We have some people from outside the US, which is always very exciting. And lastly, for our guest speaker, if to help him kind of fine tune his presentation to us, if you could say the type of speaking or presenting that you're currently doing. So we'll take 10 or 20 minutes to do that. Then we'll go, and then I'll introduce our guest speaker, David, and we'll let him take over for about 20 or 30 minutes to do his presentation. And hopefully at the end, we'll have questions, time for questions and answers for him, and time for questions and answer in general for maybe anybody that their introduction triggered questions or comments from other people here in the meeting. And my goal is to get everybody out of here on time because I know we all have Zooms back to back to back. So that would be 3 p.m. here on the East Coast, or maybe even 5 or 10 minutes before that. Give you a chance to get a glass of water before your next Zoom. So, without any further ado, the first person I have on my list is Abhishek Bazak, and I hope I said that correctly. If you want to take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the group, please.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is my first time attending this meeting. I just found it out on Meetup, and I'm from Toronto. I'm a co-founder of Club Tech. It's an offshore recruiting and outsourcing company where we help Canadian startups and small businesses hire remote employees for a fraction of the cost of hiring anybody onshore because generally in Canada with the startups and small businesses they cannot compete with big businesses and the big box retailers and overall the blue chip companies because they cannot have the staff, they don't have the cash flow to meet the needs of their working capital. So that's where we come in picture. We help them hire remote employees, and they would be probably able to hire a remote employee, full-time remote employee for one-fourth of the cost to us, and we help them with the whole process. And this way, we've helped a lot of we've been in business for 3 years, and we've helped more than 22 corporate companies in Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa. And as you all must be knowing, most of the Fortune 500 companies have outsourced their work. They don't do everything on their own to save cost, to save office space. And now that everything is going remote, our services come as a good at the right time, at the right place at the right time.
All right, perfect. And real quick, what type of speaking or presenting are you currently doing now?
I am mostly on reaching out to people on emails. I used to meet people, mostly network with people in person before the COVID situation. But now that everybody's working from home, I'm working from home. So it's mostly through meetups and trying to get to know people on LinkedIn, educate them about our product, our services. So that's mostly what I do.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much. And let's see. Oh, next on my list is David. But David, I'm going to skip you and leave you for last since you're a guest speaker, and I'll do your introduction there at the end. Uh, but next on my list is Jack. And Jack, first of all, I've been watching what's going on in Florida and Surfside. You know, I know it's not necessarily close to where you are, but obviously we all feel very bad for that.
Yeah.
So best wishes going your way from, and I
Yeah,
think
it's
I should
about
print
30,
right
it's
here.
about 35 miles south of us. And yeah, what a tragedy. I mean, that really is, we've had them in our thoughts and prayers, and our church is looking to get pretty active. They got an awful lot of good resources right now. So we're kind of looking to find out where we can help and support and contribute and so forth. But thank you. And yeah, let's keep them in our prayers for sure. Anyway, David, good to have you on, and Sal, thanks again for hosting. And yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh. I live in Fort Lauderdale now. I've been down here since I retired from the National Football League. I had a brief career in the early 70s and came down here, got in the advertising agency business, started my own shop, and ran that for close to 30 years. I had an advertising marketing firm, and I was able to retire after the first of the new century because of a business that I got into uh, about 2003. And I'm basically working with a company. It's an Inc. 500 company that has a very impressive and steady growth record. They've actually benefited greatly from the current economy and actually from COVID. So much so that they're in a current position now that are looking for motivated marketing people to help them with their timely situation. But I'm looking for people basically that where maybe the economy isn't due to the slowing economy, they may not be making the kind of money they like to make. And I basically consider myself a Plan B consultant. I'm looking for people that are proactive towards health and wellness. Our company is geared for wellness, and also looking for people that are, I call them the ambitiously dissatisfied, successfully discontent. People that are doing okay but might like to supplement, develop a Plan B. I got involved with this as a Plan B. It became an exit strategy for me from the corporate world, and now as an aging baby boomer, it's part of my retirement plan. So anybody that's looking to supplement, as long as it doesn't interfere with your current responsibilities, I'd sure like to have a conversation with you. So thank you for that, and looking forward to hearing from the rest of you.
All right, perfect, Jack. Thank you very much. And let's see, next on my list is Kristen. And please don't forget, because this is not normally in our introductions, to say the type of speaking or presenting that you do for the benefit of David. So, Kristen, please go ahead.
Okay, so I don't really particularly do any of the speaking public speaking aspect, so I can't really speak on that part. But so my name is Kristen. So my business is called Mind Thrive Digital. I'm in the process of really getting the ball rolling on it. So what I do is I help primarily mental health professionals and coaches really create meaningful websites that really aren't just essentially just words on the page. They really just showcase their unique value and impact. Because too often with these professionals, I see on websites that they aren't trying to connect with the ideal customer. They're just essentially just listing their services on the page. Really aren't trying to create like a calm, welcoming feeling that really needs to be created with mental health. So I really want to use my skills in digital marketing and also learning SEO so that they can create a warm and welcoming, inviting environment for their clients to find the information they need, really connect with the therapist, because that's super important, and just build that trust online so more people can get the help that they need. So my ideal customer is obviously mostly I'm trying to find those that may have a website, but it's either outdated or they haven't had the time to put into really growing their practice online, and they just need help with that. And they know that there's potential to grow their practice through that, but they just don't have the time. They're burnt out from dealing with clients, and yeah, that would probably be my ideal client. But yeah, it's nice to meet everyone. As I said, I'm in New Jersey. I've been here a couple times. Always a good time.
All right, perfect, Kristen. Thank you very much. And Real quick before I go to Melinda, and this is the good thing about having people that have been to these before, because sometimes I forget to say some things. Please put your contact information into the chat, whatever you feel free you want to share, because at the end of the meeting, I'll send out a link with the link to the video on YouTube. I will also send out whatever you put in the chat. So if you want to put in your email, your website, a link to your LinkedIn, whatever phone number, whatever you want to put in the chat, I will share with everybody here. Conversely, if you don't want me to share it with everybody here, please don't put it in the chat. All right. Next on my list is Melinda.
Hi again, everyone. My name is Melinda. From just in case anyone came on, I live in Jersey City, originally from Brooklyn. And I am a customer experience coach. I've been in customer service for about 20 years now. And I've helped numerous startups and small businesses find better ways to uniquely connect with their customers. So I've branched off and I now help entrepreneurs and small businesses find ways to optimize their income instead of spending a lot of money on advertisements and promotions, find ways that they can optimize their income by keeping the current customers that they have. So I help them come up with a signature customer experience so that they stand out from their competitors and they build a lifelong relationship with their customers so that they have forever customers instead of someone that might just come and be a one-time client or place a one-time order. They build that community of customers. So I help them from the ground up look at their numbers and see where they are, see how their current products or services are, and see if it's something that's really marketable to their customers, and get feedback from their customers in different ways, such as surveys and just speaking with them, so that they can really get to know their target market so that they can effectively create an experience based on what their customers really need. So that's what I do. And right now I'm doing being a guest on podcasts, and I am looking to do doing speaking events on networking events or different webinars, as far as things like summits, things like that, like online summits. So that's what I'm gearing towards, aside from the podcast guests.
All right, Melinda, thank you very much. And next on my list, all the way from Ireland, through the magic of the internet, we have Patrick.
Hello, Sal. I want to congratulate you on all the good work you're doing. You're keeping me so in touch. I think you have become my mentor. You know, you might have even adopted me, but the papers haven't been exchanged yet. So you're wonderful, really. Thank you so much. And David, when I saw that you were going to be with us, I thought, wow, I must be able to learn something from David, because while I think I'm good, I until I make this presentation, and when I think about it, I feel no, I wasn't that good at all. So I think my ego and my something or other are out of alignment, you know. But I'm open and willing to learn from the best at all times, and trying to move forward, and the power of language and all that kind of thing. But what I'm at the moment is I'm involved in the health and wellness business, and I made a discovery about cellular health at a functional level, where every second of every day our cells are passing tremendous amounts of information throughout the body. And any breakdown in that signaling and communication, we cannot be fully healthy. For example, at a very conscious level, we know when we're hungry, we know when we're tired, we know when we're thirsty, we know when we're not feeling too well, and when something falls in our foot or we cut our finger. But at another level, our heart is beating and we don't maybe realize it. We're not conscious of it. And when we eat food, our pancreas starts producing insulin to metabolize the food, and our kidneys, and all these wonderful things are all possible because of signaling. So to correct this natural decline due to the impact of lifestyle or stressors or age or whatever, we now have available the health breakthrough of redox signaling molecules. This is the only technology in the world that amplifies and clarifies our critical cell signals, and the difference it is making in people's lives is absolutely astonishing. For many people, this is now the missing link for better health and vitality. Independently validated, no adverse effects, and enabling us to have a real advantage. And the world deserves to know about this highly patented supplement for use internally and as a gel for our skin. So I'm looking for people to collaborate with me to educate and promote this discovery. And the kind of people I'm looking for, people who have a health challenge, people who have who are health conscious, and people who are looking for an additional income stream, who are dissatisfied with the praise and recognition and the uncertainty in this reset world we're living in, that they need to develop an additional income stream. As we said earlier, you know, it's so essential. Most millionaires have 7 streams of income. 7. So if one goes down and one goes funny and one goes up, you know, they're still in business. So my thanks to all of you for enabling me to understand what you are doing, and the gift of your attention, and the possibility of us exploring how we could collaborate. My details are in the chat. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Patrick. And let's see, Rhoda is already unmuted. So Rhoda, if you want to take a minute or two, please, and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone from Indianapolis, Indiana. And this is a wonderful meeting for me because I'm meeting some people who are already old, good friends. And Kristen and I have been doing some networking together. And of course, Sal, I've known for a long time, and David. So this is really nice to meet new people and see old friends as well. My business is very related to what Kristen was describing, because she feels that when people go on websites of a healthcare provider, they don't feel welcome. They don't feel that it really touches them, what they're reading. And so that's what my team and I do. We write what you read when you go on our clients' websites, with the idea of showing that they are welcoming you, they know who you are, and that the reader has come to the right place to find the information that they need. And so our clients are showing that they are in the now, they understand digital marketing and how important it is, but they don't have time to do it. And they're in the know. So they hire Say It For You to say it for them, because they don't have time to both do it and say it. So we have clients all over the US and Canada, but we are all here in Indiana, with the exception of a new writer that I have who is in Australia. So we're branching out on that score as well. So happy to meet everyone, and I'm happy to hear David's wisdom, always very, very interesting to hear.
Well, perfect, Rhoda. Thank you very much. And last but definitely not least, we have Vlastorovsky. And I hope I said that right. Please feel free to correct me.
Vlastoversko, you're all right. Everybody butchers it. First, I would like to say thank you for having us. I've never done this before, but I hope I do well. So my name is Vlasto. I've been in payments and marketing for about 8 years now. I own a marketing agency and a payment merchant payment consulting business. With, as you guys may know, with increasing cost and increased the cost of operations for small business owners have to get creative on generating more revenue. Well, the easiest way to do that is cut down on payment processing fees. On average, businesses can save 3 to 4% from their total gross, which is a lot of. To put it in perspective, you have a business making $1 million a year, you could be saving $30,000 or upwards of $30,000 by just switching to a zero cash discount program, basically. What else I do is I provide consulting for high risk merchants, businesses like cannabis, CBD, and stuff like that, and basically keep them compliant and keep them honest. And basically, I am a direct contact to the merchant that they're with, which in this case is Maverick Payments. I work with, I'm partnered with, and yeah, so that's what I do. I also have a 50-50 referral partner program, which I really hope some of you take advantage of. But basically, the way I get paid is I get paid anywhere from 1% to 2.5% from the total gross, and I'd be willing to split that with you guys 50-50, which is a great deal for just referring the clients to me. I'll onboard them. I'm an honest guy. I have I have a I have a family. I'm a really honest guy. I never screwed anybody over. I'm actually in a wheelchair. I'm a quadriplegic. Been in a wheelchair for over 10 years, and to be honest with you, all I want to do is good and give back. So I'm all about creating like my friend Patrick over there said, several types of incomes. Like he said, you have one, that's good. You have two, that's even better. Having five is the best thing you can do. So I'm a jack of all trades. I've been in crypto for about 6 years now, so I did very well in that aspect. I've been I've been doing marketing. I have been developing an app for about a year now as well. So I have a lot of going on. So if you guys have any questions or want any advice on anything that I just mentioned, just reach out. I have no problem. I'd be happy to help you guys with anything. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
So now, and we're right on schedule, so thank you all very much. We're just about hitting 2:30 here on the East Coast. It's time for our guest speaker. So David Doerrier works with trainers, facilitators, sales organizations, and other presenters that are struggling to engage and impact their audience. The lack of engagement in any presentation will cause your audience to tune out, forget you and your message, and will undoubtedly not buy from you or take the next step. As an expert in the adult learning theory, David works with his clients to incorporate 8 simple principles that are guaranteed to motivate any audience to listen, act, and be more likely to retain your information, take a next step, and purchase your product or service. David is a seasoned Toastmaster, proficient instructional designer, trained trainer and facilitation specialist, voiceover artist, classroom facilitator, and professional Santa Claus. I love that part. Please help me welcome David Doerrier. And by the way, I'm going to unmute everybody as long as we don't get any background noise. And
Welcome,
David,
Santa Claus. Welcome, Santa Claus. You're a bit early, but we welcome you, Santa Claus.
Yeah, if you could mute everyone except myself, I'm getting some background noise.
Okay, very good. Then we'll just please write your questions for the end.
I'm unmuted now. So first question is, can you see my PowerPoint? And can you still see me? Excellent. Well, thank you, Sal, for that great introduction. I'll introduce a little bit more about myself as we go through today. And thank you for telling me a little bit about what you do. So what are we going to do today? We've got 30 minutes together. And as Sal said, I've been working with the adult learning theory, and you'll get to know why I've been working with this for the past 30 years. Today, my goal is to just scratch the surface on what the adult learning theory is and how each one of you in each of your unique businesses, how you can apply the same principles that trainers use in the classroom that you can apply to your presentations, your sales pitches, your mentoring, your speaking to other people, how you can incorporate the adult learning theory into that. So set the stage. We have about 30 minutes together. I'd like to make this as interactive as possible. You can use the chat at any time. If you have a question or a comment, either raise your hand and either unmute yourself and contribute whatever question or comment that you have, and or you can do that through the chat. So encourage a lot of participation. So a few moments ago, each of you had a chance to introduce yourselves. Thank you for that. Patrick, you mentioned that you do a lot of speaking, but at times you lose confidence, that after the presentation you think that you did not do a good job. Did I hear that correctly, Patrick? So, and also I have all of you over here on the side. I'm like a air traffic controller in here. So if you see me looking at different screens, that's because I have you all over on this screen over here. And so I can see my PowerPoint over here. Rhoda, being a wonderful writer, and let me put a plug in for her. She's been helping me with my blog posts, as well as helping me to rewrite my my website, one of my websites. So thank you, Rhoda, for that. Also, the adult learning theory can be used when it comes to writing your presentation, writing your sales pitch, or writing your speech. And Viesto, I hope I'm saying that correctly, coming close, mentioning that he's meeting new people, he's talking to folks about his new business. This is right up your alley on what you can take away from the adult learning theory. Abhishek, did I come close on that one? I apologize. You're meeting folks, you're using Zoom, you're going to networking events. So thank you for sharing that information. And Melinda, you want to be a speaker. I have in the chat, set up a 30-minute time with me. We can talk more about how to get into the business, some other things to think about free of charge. I'm not going to sell you anything. But I want to focus on something that Kristen said, that you don't do any public speaking. Well, I'm going to say that that may not be so much a true statement. You're working with clients, correct? You're teaching them or telling them about your products. Would that be correct? Yes. I'm sorry, I'm looking over there to see your reaction. The same principles that a public speaker has to use to connect with their audience. Every mentor, every trainer, every salesperson, every person that wants to make an impact on others is using all of those same principles. So it may not be public speaking with air quotes, but it is definitely using the same principles. So a little bit about me. Number one, I love this business of training development. I've been a part of training and development for 30 years. I started my career in training and development with the United States Air Force in 1995. And I've been with it ever since. The things that I love about it are helping people understand objectives and also helping people to be trainers or presenters or impacting their audience. I have quite a varied background along with acting and Santa Claus. I've been doing Santa for 30 years. My beautiful wife and myself in the picture at the end of a beautiful Mexican restaurant dinner. This was taken a few years ago when I did not have the beard. 29 years of my Santa career, I did not have a real beard. I had a designer beard, and I grew this last year. I said originally from Babylon, Long Island, New York, another Northeasterner with a lot of the New Jersey folks. Retired from the Air Force, spent 28 years traveling around the United States. Currently live outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been in training and development for 30 years. So, a little bit about me. I know a little bit about you. So let's talk about how to connect to your adult audience. Every adult audience. Now, at times, that's interesting how it's, it looks fine on your end. So I may use the term training or trainee or trainer at times, but the same principles that a trainer is using, that I used in the classroom to connect to my audience, to make sure that my message sticks. Because as a trainer, it's important for me to not only get the information across to my audience, but it's also important that that audience, those trainees, are able to take that information and immediately apply it when they get back to their desk. So it's connecting with the audience. So the first thing is you've got to motivate them. Even if it's a sales call, they have to be motivated. So what can you think of some ways that you can motivate your audience to listen? You can put it in the chat or unmute if you'd like. What are some ways you think you can motivate your audience? Raise your hand and I can acknowledge you. You are hearing me. The mic's working, correct? Hello? Hello?
Hello, hello. I think you have to be kind of a mixture between entertainment and not to be monosyllabic and dull and boring and
Sure.
depressed, and so you have
Thank you.
to
Cool.
kind of light them up or something.
Thank you, Patrick. I like what you said about entertaining, and about also what I read into that was having basic presentation skills. One thing I'll share with all of you here in the virtual world, one of the easiest, cheapest ways to connect to your audience is to look directly into the camera when you're talking to them. I can't see you. I can't see my audience. I've got to visualize my audience in my head. However, on the receiving end, I'm looking right at you versus looking over here, talking to you, or looking down and giving you my presentation, reading. All of those things reflect credibility to an audience, and also are ways, would you say, to motivate your audience if they have good basic speaking skills. Would that be a motivator? Yeah, good. The other piece is interaction. And I know that others that you had some comments, but because of time, I'm gonna move along. The other thing that adults are looking for in a learning environment or a sales situation is to have interaction. Ask questions. One of the things that I see a lot of times is a salesperson just goes on and on and on about how great their product is and hasn't spent any time at all asking me what I need. And is this a product that has any value to me? Let me ask you this by a show of hands. If you're listening to a trainer or a speaker or a salesperson and the topic is not relevant to you, will you tune out? So if a sales guy is trying to throw his product down my throat, and first of all, I have no idea what it is. And second, and if I can figure it out, I probably can't use it. Am I going to listen? No. So 2 of the things adults are looking for, they need to be motivated. They also have to have some interactions, ask questions. I feel that salespeople need to ask way more questions than they're talking. And the third is their instructional method, or the way that the presenter is engaging their audience. Here we're talking about basic presentation skills, how to use the platform, how to use their eyes, vocal variety. These are the 3 basics, and the understanding of the adult learning theory. And that's what we're going to look at now. But before I move on, let me see. Hi, Sal. I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, okay. Stephanie. Good to see you, Stephanie. I don't see her, but she's with us, correct? There she is. Good. I'm looking to the side. I've got everybody over here at the side. Solve their problems. Good. Thank you, Viesta. So what is the adult learning theory? The adult learning theory has been around for years. This gentleman here, Malcolm Knowles, is the father of the adult learning theory. And the adult learning theory is all about connecting to your audience, making your message stick. You can see you may not see it super clear on your end, but these are the 5 principles that Malcolm Knowles came up with. And these are the 8 principles that I use that are part of the adult learning theory. Again, today, what we're doing is just scratching the surface. Adult learning theory, the objective of it is to connect with your audience. Whether you're a salesperson, a trainer, a leader, running a meeting, if you're writing content, if you're writing a blog, every situation needs to keep these principles in mind. On the outside of this, on the outside of the circle are 8 principles all adults are looking for in every learning or engaging situation. I'm going to give you my website, or my website is in the chat. If you go to my website, you can get a free copy of my ebook on which gives you a deeper dive on the adult learning theory. We're going to look at 1 or 2 of these principles on the outside. Every adult is looking for all of these things on the outside. The inside are showing the differences, but I'm not going to get into that because of time. So let's take a look at one of these, the principle of ownership. When you think about the principle of a learner or a prospect owning it, what comes to mind for you? The principle of ownership. And you can see some examples here on the screen. Yep. You can see some. Let me put that back up there. There you go. You can see that learning requires change. What's in it for me? Setting objectives. What do you think this means? Principle of ownership. Patrick?
Principle of ownership. In other words, you identify with the product or service.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to stop you there because you hit it right on, and because of time. Thank you, Patrick. It's where the learner is identifying to the product or service that the facilitator has facilitated the conversation to the point where now the participant sees the value, understands the value, what's in it for me. Because if there's no WIFM, if the participant doesn't understand the WIFM, what's in it for me, what are they going to do? Exactly. They're going to tune out. So here the learner or participant is taking ownership. Yes, I see the value. I have the emotional connection. The salesperson has done a job well enough by introducing it, by asking me questions, by understanding my needs, by understanding that I have a need for this product. And based on all of that, now I on my own, I have seen the value. Because as a trainer, as a salesperson, we could be standing in front of the classroom until we're blue in the face telling you how great this new process is, how great this product is. I have the greatest PowerPoints in the world. I have the greatest handouts. But if you don't see the value, if the participant doesn't see the value, they're never going to buy or never take that next step. Any conversation around the principle of ownership? We've heard from Patrick a couple of times. Anyone else have something they want to like to add about principle of ownership? Rhoda? You may be on mute.
I think that there's a principle of partial ownership, because I may not be able to use everything that you're talking about, but at least you want me to be able to use something about it so that I feel this is going to be useful to me to keep listening, because I may store the rest for later, but right now I'm going to come away with something today that I can use.
And I appreciate that. That's certainly an interesting way of looking at that. And I think another way that I thought of when you were mentioning that maybe I don't have any need for this, but I got a buddy that could use it. So maybe that falls into that same category of, but that also brings up another point of going to the basic presentation skills. That maybe, yes, I'm half interested, but because of his or her presentation skills, that's helping to keep me engaged. Okay, so yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Rhoda. So we're gonna, as I mentioned earlier, we're scratching the surface. We have about 10 minutes remaining, and of the adult learning theory, talking about how it can be used in any presentation situation, whether you're a public speaker, a mentor, a salesperson, or a leader that's running meetings. You want to facilitate an effective meeting, all of these principles can be used. So we've talked about one of them, the principle of ownership. The other one I want to talk about is the principle of complexity. This is an area where many of the trainers that I've trained over the years, we all have difficulty adapting to training, because talking and telling ain't training or selling. So there are a lot of adjustments. However, this is one of those adjustments that a lot of subject matter experts have. There's a big aha here. So the principle of complexity, for this example, what I'd like you to visualize is a swimming pool. On one end of the swimming pool, you have the deep end of the pool. The deep end of the pool represents all of the complicated, complex stuff about what you sell and what your process is all about. All of the things that you trained for years to know about is all down there at the deep end of the pool. At the shallow end of the pool is where some people let me start here. Let me start with this question. Knowing that down at the deep end of the pool are all of the complex stuff, have you ever been involved in a training where you were a participant, or maybe a salesperson is selling you something, and they immediately at the very beginning of the presentation dove into the deep end of the pool, and you had no idea what they were talking about? Have you ever experienced that? I see Rhoda shaking her head, Kristen, Patrick, big shake of the head, everybody, and even Jack was to the point of waving that it's happened to him. How did that make you feel? Jack, I think you're reaching for the mute button. I've gotten good with Zoom gestures, but you're still muted.
Yeah, it keeps. Oh, there we go. I become very uninterested. I mean, it just they lose my attention, and I'm off thinking of
exactly
a whole bunch of other things.
Thank you, Jack. So uninterested, and I think everyone else would pretty much say the same thing. So the pool is representing where is your audience in the pool? Are they down at the shallow end? Are they new? Are they novice? Have they ever heard of your product before? Do they know anything about your product? If they don't, then I'd put them down there at the kiddie end of the pool. Do they know some things about your product? Well, maybe they're more in the center, in the middle portion of the pool. Or are they already experts? Then they're with you down at the deep end of the pool. The point here is you need to understand who's your audience. What do they already know? What interest could they possibly have in this product or service that I have? So think about some ways that you can evaluate, where your audience's current level of understanding. What is it that I did, or Sal helped me with, at the beginning of this presentation that gave me an idea of where you all are at? He asked you the question, what kind of presenting are you doing now? That helped me to understand that Melinda wants to know more about public speaking. It helped me to understand that Kristen said she's not a public speaker. However, she's still working with clients and customers. Jack was, Jack, I don't know if you ever told us what kind of speaking you're doing. I learned that Patrick does speaking, but at times he loses that confidence. I'll tell you a little secret, Patrick. I'm the same way. I always feel like I did a horrible job. Always. I feel like now I'm going to tear myself apart when I watch this video. And we didn't hear from Stephanie. Abhishek, I apologize, sir, about your name, but butchering your name. However, you let us know that you're doing a lot of your communication through email. So I spent some time up front understanding who you are and what you already do. So that's one way of understanding who my audience is. So we've looked at very quickly 2 parts of the adult learning theory that I hope that you can apply to what you do on a daily basis. Understand where your audience is. What is their current understanding? The principle of complexity. Don't you understand? We as subject matter experts, we know all of this stuff. We could go to sleep and dictate all of this stuff all day. However, our audience is seeing this possibly for the very first time. So using stories, using analogies, using examples that are easy for your audience to visualize, to see. And we also talked about the principle of ownership, that your audience has to get to the point. But what those magic words are that you facilitate them, that's something that you're going to have to work on. It takes time to test. Well, does this work, or does this opening line work, or does that introduction work? But the objective is always going to be the same, that your audience, in their mind and in their body, they understand the value. They see the value. What's in it for me? One bonus one bonus piece of the principle of the principle of adult learning is the principle of repetition. And I quick review. What questions do you have?
I identified, David, thank you so much. I identified with everybody, but I particularly identified with Viasto, with his being paraplegic or all these challenges he had, and he's still moving forward. You know, he's still moving forward. So he has an amazing story.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
David,
you. I appreciate it.
David,
Yes.
this is Jack.
Jack.
Wonderful job, by the way. Thank you very much. Most of what I do is what I would call it's more of an interview process, and to me, asking good questions I think is probably the most important marketing tool we've got. I wanted to ask you though. I use the word inspire rather than motivate. I mean, my feeling is that it's not our job to motivate. I mean, the motivation's got to be there. And you know, we're all moved to action by the prospect of a result, and I try to help people get in touch with you know, their why, whatever you want to call it, something that they can emotionally be attached to. Because you know, as you well know, I mean, no matter what we do, I mean, there's going to be there's stages you go through, the excitement stage, and then there's the reality, the battle. And you got to get through the battle by being inspired and having a reason to you know, move forward. Let me ask you, do you know the name Bill Gove or
No.
Steve Siebold?
No.
Okay, they're professional speakers.
So what I'd like to, what I encourage you to do, connect with me on LinkedIn and we can continue this conversation. But thank you. Inspire, motivate. I agree with you. Whichever is more comfortable for you. I may even start to use inspire. I think in both cases, our objectives are the same. Yeah, I agree with you. Anyone else? Thank you.
Okay, well, let's do something. David has put his information in the chat. And again, I'll everything that's in the chat, I will share with everybody later tonight, when I send the video to the recording, or the link to the recording. And by the way, I encourage you, and I do this for myself too, to do what David said, is at least look at your part where you do your little 1 or 2 minute introduction, because is never perfect. We always have room to improve. We can always use coaching from somebody like David. Even those of us that now, because of Zoom, we're doing these introductions over and over and over again, there's always room to improve. So when you get the recording, at least look at your little part. Just want to do 2 things real quick before we disband. One is, one of our upcoming speakers is from SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. So for all of you that are in business, for all of you that are entrepreneurs, that's another guest speaker not to miss, because SCORE has these wonderful resources that usually were high-level executives before, are now retired, and they can help you, they can coach you, and a lot of what they do is either free or at a very reasonable cost. So I would encourage everybody to join us for that presentation from SCORE. And the last thing that I want to do before we disband is, Stephanie, thank you for joining us, even if it was a little bit late. Do you want to take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the group before we disband?
Yeah, thank you. And I do apologize for being late. I know several of you. We are now in our new location, and the best news is the trade show world is starting to kick up, which we are very, very happy. I work for a company called Exhibit. A lot of people know us as trade show marketing experts, but we also do a lot of different visual concepts as well. And so we do anything from logo design, marketing materials and collateral, all the way up to big trade show booths and show services. Well, when COVID hit, it was rough on us. Everything shut down, and what we've learned in the last year is that 40% of our industry has closed their doors for good. and we made it through the pandemic. Our CEO really did a good job keeping us working, and so now that we're finding that there are those people out there that need to exhibit, they need a place for their trade show booths, they need those show services, and we are able to come and help them out, which is good. So things have picked up a bit, and so we're very happy about that.
Awesome.
Okay. And by the way, same as I was saying to Jack earlier in our little get together here today, I was very sorry to hear that there was a balloon accident over there in New Mexico, and they had some fatalities. So I think I speak again for everybody here. We're grieving with you. We're very sorry. I know that in the past we have been joking around going to the balloon fest and all those fun activities in New Mexico, and so now we had this tragic accident over the weekend. So our prayers are with you, and again, thank you for joining us a little bit.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to the balloon fiesta. You know, there are very few accidents, given how many balloons are in the air. And this was a private company, from what I understand, but there are 2 balloon companies that go up every day. And so, unfortunately, you know, weather can take a effect on that. And if you come to the balloon fiesta in October, you'll see sometimes they cancel the shows because of the wind, or they cancel the launch because of the wind. And so that's what happened on Saturday morning, and it is unfortunate. And we pray for the families and those balloon pilots and their families. But it's still just a beautiful, everybody just loves the balloons, and they know the risk when they take the risk. And so we do pray for them. So thank you. I appreciate that. And it's good to be here today.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, listen, I want to be respectful of everybody's time and the fact that you may have some upcoming meetings live or on Zoom or whatever. So it's 2:59 p.m. here on the East Coast. I'm going to turn off the system, but thank you for joining me. Please join us again in exactly 2 weeks, 2 p.m. Eastern in 2 weeks. And please don't miss the presentation from SCORE, because I think it's just a wonderful resource that everybody should take advantage of. So thank you all for joining me today.
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you, David, for being our
Bye.
guest.
Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
you.
Nice
Bye,
meeting you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.